For me, female leadership is something that I actually had a conversation with my almost 16-year-old son in the car the other day. He commented to me, as I often share my work day and my work experiences with my family, he goes, "Do you have any men in your workspace?" He goes, "Because you only ever talk about women." And I explained to him that when I started in the public sector 20 years ago, that wasn't the case, that at that time we had a predominantly senior leadership makeup of males, and that over the last 20 years that I have been proud to be a part of and to see a shift in the, particularly within courts and tribunals, to have a senior leadership that is created of women. So when I look around and I can see that tangible shift, and to have a conversation with a young male about what has occurred in the last 20 years, for me, just really resonates about how hard we have all worked to not only show the capability in female leaders, but the strength in female leaders. And it's inspiring when I am able to look around, not only in the public sector, but in the private sector, and see the amazing things that women are doing. I've always had a genuine interest from my high school years in people. Initially that was in the context of law and wanting to understand why people choose to engage in antisocial behaviour or offending behaviour, and that was my desire to go into psychological sciences to really understand people's choices and how you could help affect and promote change to those behaviours. I started my career in corrective services when I was 20, freshly out of university and my degree, seeking to get experience in the real world. My time in corrections was formative in really many ways around not only being able to witness the change in people. Often that's the work that we do, particularly working with vulnerable people and people who've been through the system. You don't often sometimes see a lot of success. That's the challenge in change, that people have to want the change within themselves. They've got to, and also have the means and capability to do so. But those people that you get to see where the conversations and the support and the guidance that you can offer can affect and support them to change and to move themselves into a positive life, that sustains you. It gives you hope. And at the beginning of my career, I started as a frontline probation and parole officer in corrective services, and then moved through a range of roles in corrective services, including into court advisory practice. So I was prosecuting in court, and then moved into leadership roles, and then also into strategic roles. I was responsible for the design of the first women's reintegration service in Queensland, and then I moved into the not-for-profit sector, delivering the reintegration services across the male prisons in southeast Queensland. And then 8 years ago, I moved back into the front end of the justice system, starting in, at the time, in the specialist courts programs, in the bail diversion programs. So that was called Reform and Support Services, and then moved into working with CourtLink and in that specialist courts model. So the opportunities and the engagement and the way in which we understand people as a leader, our approach to staff can make that person's day. Empathy, compassion, understanding, knowing people's motivation as to why they've chosen to work in this field, knowing what motivates them to contribute, allows us to harness their strengths, their abilities, so that we're all doing the best that we can to support ourselves, to support the people that are important to us, but to support the community in the work that we do. People choose the public service as that opportunity to contribute, and harnessing that through knowing, understanding and supporting people is really important to me. I started in Brisbane Region as the Regional Director 3 years ago, and since that time, for me, it's really about recognising the work that our staff undertake is critical for the delivery of services for Queensland. So in knowing how important the work is that they do, then we have to have a workplace that supports them to do that. We need to have a workplace that recognises how hard they work, but can make sure that we're supporting them in their work, in their growth, in their development, with a little bit of fun and humour along the way. Really important to acknowledge that people choose to come to our workplace, and we have to respect and recognise that that's a really great thing, that this is where they're choosing to spend their time away from their family and their friends, and it's also the place that then they go home to at the end of the day. So for me, it's about making sure that when they come and when they go, that they've had the best day that they can, and that they're being able to feel successful in their role, and that know that they're contributing to such an important part of our community. We really focus on how do we make sure that we are able to deliver services that can represent each member of the community. Brisbane Region was a participant in the pilot program of the Language Bag program, and had 7 staff who spoke multiple languages, including Auslan, to be able and available to provide court users access to simple understanding of how to navigate court. Not the legal aspect, but how do they find their way to a courtroom, or to understand the general questions people have when they come into a courthouse. Often this is a person's first experience, or can be their first experience, and if you are coming from a place where English isn't your first language, or you are have hearing difficulties or neurodivergent challenges, knowing that there are people within that service that can provide you a level of support is really important to us. I raise children who are neurodiverse. I've also got many friends and family who have engaged in workplaces with a range of disabilities. I believe that that's our responsibility, to ensure that we can support all people that choose to come to work for us, and understand that every human is different, every human has a story, and every human can contribute in their way if we can identify and articulate their strengths, understand what their challenges are, and how do we support them in their goals and how they can grow. Have an amazing group of female mentors around me, women that I have collected along the way in my career through different engagements that are current public sector leaders, again in the private sector. I also really value my personal development. There's an amazing group in Brisbane that does mentor walks, where women from all walks of life meet and go for a walk together from different public sectors. So I think for me, the women that have been around me, my peers, and then people that have really provided their time and their guidance to me. What I like to do for fun at the moment is this year I have been brave and I have joined my local women's soccer team. So we have our first game next week. I have not played soccer before. I've been a soccer mum on the sideline for the last 14 years. But yeah, so I enjoy getting out, spending time with other women. I enjoy spending time with my kids, supporting them in their endeavours, spending time with friends and family, but really important to make sure you find time for fun. Yeah, let some of that stress go.